There it is.
Now for the fun part. Who wants to go over what's happened for Cody since he left?
I will. I'll tell you what's happened.
And Tommy, our note taker, isn't this literally his job?
There are some notes in there that Cody could read off of and pretend like he knows.
Well, how about Cody recaps what he thinks has happened?
I think Max should come in and recap for us.
Okay. I will recap if we genuinely want it.
Genderly.
Yes, genderly. So Cody.
Yes.
We talked to the leader of that small village, and he was like, "Shit,
What small
man,
village?
the logging town we were in. Were you gone before that?"
Possibly.
I don't
Cody's
100%
been
remember.
gone since the Redeemer.
Okay, well, I missed the session before that, so it's slightly confusing. But we took the airship. We came to a logging town to resupply. Alcohol got some wood to repair the ship. Ito did some investigation. Found out that there were some cultists and shit. We found a guy pinned to a tree in a ritual to make the moon go away. We then subsequently found a bunch of big titty.
Wait. Pinned to a tree to make the moon go away?
Yeah, so the moon was missing for a long period of time, and via ritual sacrifice and spell work, it was taken away in the area. So then eventually we found the source of it. It was a bunch of big-tittied witches dancing in the forest, and we killed all of them. We killed them all fucking dead, Cody. I turned Reed into a T-Rex. It was kind of cool. He didn't like it that much. Yeah, we killed him, and you were off just flying around, being a scout, essentially. Then the next day came. In the fight, Klaus had scanned one of them with the Eye of Vecna and figured out that Aruna's sibling was most likely in the Feywild. That's kind of meta knowledge, so you don't super know. But you and your apprentice, to our knowledge, ran into Baba Yaga in the woods and got kind of like sent off. And Aruna went out to investigate. I got caught up with Baba Yaga. I was like, Baba Yaga, how do I get to the Feywild? Because she was like, yeah, your sister's fucking gone. These elves are weird, dude. And then I got warlock powers because I'm stupid. And then Ito showed up because he's also a dumbass, and I was like, Ito, you coming with me, brother? And he was like, yeah, sister.
That's not at all what she said.
And then I teleported him to the Feywild. And then subsequently our friends didn't look for us because they don't care about us.
It's true.
And then we flew back to whatever the fucking place is called that we're in. Old Kurt's Castle, what have you.
So we're back at Kroot's Castle.
Yeah, we took like a little time skip as we just traveled because there's nothing eventful.
Wait, how far away is Kroot's Castle from where y'all just were?
By airship, it's a couple weeks.
Yeah, but there's a lot of milling about and so forth and so on the ship.
So we left Ito and Aruna?
Yeah, nobody looked for us.
Yep.
So
as far as they know, we're dead in the forest.
I assume Alakul assumed they left on their own volition and didn't care to search for them. Lou just wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
Beaver also wasn't paying attention.
Anyway, yeah, we're there now. Reed had some heart-to-heart with Coins, which was actually really cute. Coins has the bird population has surged, and he has eggs. It's very adorable. You talk to Reed.
Wait, Coins is back?
Coins.
Yeah, Coins
Well,
fixed
he
up
lives
that.
Tower.
Coins fixed that clock tower, and they've got like a little Kenku like village clan thing in there. They're very cute.
What a good one.
Alakul hung out with the one guy that has the neat coat that likes him a whole bunch. I can't think of his name. Huh? Barkley. Connor did some long convoluted thing where he pretended to be a damsel in distress because he's just playing Jester from Critical Role, and he was like, "Oh, Reed, let me jump your bones." But
That's
Reed didn't really like that.
what I'm doing, but thank you, Tommy.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure you're trying to touch Lou's penis.
But I'm playing a half orc, and my half
He's also
orc.
trying to touch Lou's penis.
That's true. I'm part of the Rage Mage clan, Cody, and I considered the girl that you helped, that we helped, that was all tormented and shit as a sibling. So I'm here to help you guys because I feel bad that I couldn't help her. That's the long story short of mine.
Okay.
Then he went to go see the Redeemer's relative. Alakul did. Beaver, for some reason, tried to scale the castle walls,
Oh,
and everyone
boy.
was like, "Someone's trying to kill the king! Holy shit!" And then we didn't get our meeting. Joseph Smoke had some cool RP about his chains. And then he was like,
Chains.
the chains he got from Von Richten, like off of, yeah, you remember the ones holding up the coffin, the magic ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's those. He wanted to learn more about them. And then we had to go in the bottom of the Scorched Keep to get a book to learn more about them, essentially. We went down there. There's a bunch of fucking nerds in there. And I mean a bunch of nerds. It's actually two dwarf twins who are like super hyped up about fucking finding whistles and coins and buttons and shit. And Connor's like, "Oh, look at my titties, dwarves. I am also very smart." And then they were like, "Oh, cool. The government sent you. Nice." And then we went in the basement. And there's ghosts down there. And there was a Von Richten vault and a library. And there's a creepy ghost mutant librarian lady. And Joseph Smoke was like, "I am of his blood. Let me pass, bitch." And she was like, "All right, cool."
Just alright, cool.
Yeah, and then the ghosts almost killed one of us, but then we were like, all right, we shouldn't fuck with the ghosts.
It was also him, because before asking, he was like, "I'm gonna fucking open this door," and Colin was like, "You what, mate?"
Well, no. We straight up said that multiple times, and he wasn't paying attention, and he did it
No,
randomly.
he said he didn't care. He's like, "They won't do anything," and then he got hit for like 23 damage in an attack, and he was like, "What the heck?"
Yeah, but Connor like blinked into another plane of existence and kind of saw them for what they were. Talked to him.
Gracie,
And then
shut up!
Joseph Smoke was like, "Yeah, I'm of the bloodline. Let me in here, bitch." And they let him in one of the smaller vaults, and he got a chest piece. That's basically it.
Yep. There we go.
I didn't even read the notes for that one because it would have actually sounded more intelligent, and that's no fun.
Probably.
I wish I was just playing Jester.
But honestly, we spent like an hour and a half sneaking while Connor was up there flirting with the guards. You weren't really, but you know.
Great.
Yep, Connor is a black ass ganassi.
I guess that's accurate.
It is accurate. You're black.
His name is Miss Dingo.
Wow, how did you find Wabandaji's wife?
I'm looking for the dingo that ate my baby.
Yes.
We need to cancel this stream right now.
Is there anything else like really important that happened? Because I don't feel like there was.
I mean, Max opened up and roleplayed for about 5 minutes.
Yeah, Max had some like really good role play with the blacksmith,
For about
and
5
then like with the ghost guards.
And
It
then he
was-
went right back to standard Max operating procedure of forgetting that he was in a game.
It's pretty good though.
Well, that's basically what happened.
Yeah.
Along the way, you
I like how Colin wasn't even here. He's like, "Yep, that's what happened."
met some interesting characters. You've, like I said, you're now the proud owner of a couple of vials of poison from Lincoln, who brewed those up for you, and look around town.
we have a dude named Lincoln who's shanghaied his way onto the airship.
Yeah, I wasn't there for when he showed up, so I forgot.
What's his name?
Lincoln.
Lincoln.
He
Like the
finds
guy that gets
info
shot
and
in the
makes
head.
Poisons.
Does he have a boomerang and a sword that we need to find in Ungoro?
No, unfortunately, he is a poisoner. He's skilled with making poisons and also finding out information in cities.
So he's a druid.
Yes.
Poisons
He's
are
a-
nature.
He's a druid. He's a city druid.
I actually think he's a child toucher.
All right.
That's why Ito's gone.
We had to send Ito to jail.
Prove me wrong.
That is essentially what happened.
Wow.
Ito's a pedophile, confirmed.
It's
Colin said so.
It's pretty good. But you also went beneath the keep, the Scorched Keep, found some interesting stuff, and met a couple of interesting characters. A pair of dwarven archaeologists, a brother and sister named Gilliam and Jillian.
Which one's the brother? Which one's the sister?
Take a guess.
Jillian's the brother. Gilliam's the sister.
Yes.
Good try.
You had a
I like the
50-50
try.
shot. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
That's fair.
It was a good try. But Connor managed to convince them that he was actually working with the capital, and they were there to help for the most part. And that allowed him access without running into too much trouble, because the two archaeologists had hired guards essentially to work with them, because the area around the Scorched Keep is not super great. There's quite a few homeless people that live in there, plus there's ghosts in the basement, stuff like that.
Ghosts in the basement? Oh my god!
After you emerge victorious, you also found a book, or the first chapter of a book. Well, Gilliam and Jillian did, and they shared it with Connor's character, excitedly sort of like, hey, look what we found. I bet this would go over real well at the Capitol, and that might earn them a little bit more funding. This, of course, was the introduction of Volume 2 of On the Subjects of Planes, written by Archmage Falstaff Bamadawa. It's basically just the introduction, but one that promises to have many other chapters should you go looking for them.
Okay.
I hope every time we find one, we also meet up with Gillian and Gilliam again.
Beaver also fished up a flail snail and fought it.
He almost died.
Almost died.
He didn't nearly die.
Is that like a rat flail?
No, it's like a snail with flails on its head.
Yeah. And it has a big
It's
shell that's like
it's
magic.
anti-magic.
Yeah.
So that is how you find yourself. If you remember, Cody, there was a little inn called the Nook and Cranny where you helped find two true lovers, Darla and Truman, the halfling and halfling barmaid and the human bard. You got them together against, well, initially against the wishes of her father, the owner of Nook and Cranny, a halfling named Furlow. But it seems like things are at least mostly working out, as they seem just as in love as the last time you left them.
Oh my god,
every
that's
night
so good.
that you're there, you hear him play at least one love ballad, and you can't help but tell that his eyes glance over at his young halfling love, the beautiful halfling Darla.
Oh my god. I'm gonna cuck this man.
Do it.
You are there the night after your endeavor into the well, not really the night after, it's essentially because you came out towards like the end of the day, so you'd basically be the night that you went out and you emerged essentially and had a chance to regroup in a general location. That way Karakwa is able to meet up with you and you can discuss what's going on. Karakwa, you had a somewhat eventful day with Abigail and Dillamond. In the time that she's got, while she still has strength, she is going over stuff that it would be useful for Abigail to know. It's less druidic things and more the things required to be a leader.
Feelings.
Yeah, stuff like, personal sacrifice and that kind of thing, and what it takes to be taxes, yeah.
How to properly douche.
Yeah, essentially. I mean, it got real awkward because Abigail has to do it with like motor oil, so.
Tommy, let me see your douching face.
That's just his normal. That's just his normal face. But you have a chance to reconvene
okay,
sort of
Cody?
that night. You're able to talk with each other. I like how it blinks one eye at a time, like it's slow. Like Forrest Gump got caught in a fucking windstorm.
Holy shit!
I don't even know what that means.
I'm just wondering, does the recording have context for this part of
No, there's no camera.
There are no cameras.
Alright.
Nobody wants to see our ugly fucking faces. What?
The one dude that watches these videos would fucking make fun of us in the fucking comments. Like, look at this fucking ugly retard.
Nobody watches these videos. Everybody.
He would shove us all in the lockers.
But-
Shut up,
There's no
Colin. It's
doubt.
Well, no.
Cody. Cody
I'm
goes
more
on there and is
talking
like, look at this
about the
It's
fact
true.
that-
ugly nerds.
No, I'm more talking the fact that you guys are all laughing at a VR tuber or whatever.
Yeah, there's
The,
no
um,
context.
I
Really
have
pretending he
commented
doesn't know what a
on
VTuber
Colin's
is.
video one time, and that was to point out the timestamp where Lou says "I know," and everyone disliked that.
Like, get out.
Everyone disliked that.
The air is thick with the smells of roasted meats, baking bread. It's a fairly packed crowd, as I said. The town of Krutz Castle is a lot more packed. There's quite a few refugees fleeing the northern coast. Initially from the threat of the Redeemer, likely many of them not realizing they've dodged a bullet, and the King of Everfrost that is now slowly creeping down from the north. It's quite hot. The windows have been thrown open, what few windows they have on the outward-facing walls out against the rock face that rises up to the old Krutz. There is a faint and gentle and somewhat jaunty music in the air as Truman's fingers glide across the strings of a lute, and you're able to reconvene and catch up with each other. And it's as you're doing so, catching up on the events of the day, that a pair of excited-looking dwarves, covered in, like, dirt and a little bit of grease, a little bit of mud, walk in the doorway, leaving great trails of it as they walk, just like plumes of dust. You can see they have big, sort of broad grins on their face as they come and sit down next to Zara, whatever name she's going by.
What's your fucking name, girl?
Is Karakwa present?
At this point, yes, it was given a chance for everyone to reconvene, so everyone can
What?
be together.
What that cloac
We're
would
back
do.
in the nook and cranny.
Yes,
Okay,
it's
sorry. I had
it's
to get
basically
up there.
it's basically it's like later in the day essentially.
Start of a new day. Okay.
No, it's not even the start of a new day. It's like at the night of the day you essentially.
Well, actually, truth be told, I don't think Zara would introduce herself. Unless the party indicated they knew this individual.
Is Zara the Is that the name of your character, Connor?
It's one of the names that the party has received.
Okay.
I
So
don't
is that the name of your character, Connor?
He doesn't know.
I know.
He doesn't know.
There's you've been introduced to Zara Aldine, Sabira Ben Assad, and I cannot actually recall the third name because I did not write it down.
Stevie Ray.
Jenna.
Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Billy Ray Cyrus.
Oh my god.
That's it, I'm playing Billy Ray Cyrus now.
Do it.
My achy breaky heart.
Do it, you won't.
Alright, we left, so that's good. Now the game can continue. Shit.
Now we have to stop again.
Break heart.
What are you saying about me?
What?
Connor, Billy Ray Cyrus is gonna fart in your mouth while you're sleeping.
Is that something that Billy Ray Cyrus does?
I would imagine.
How well do you know him?
I text him on the weekends.
I don't think
That's
you'll-
how he jumps.
Billy Ray Cyrus is the one person that watches this, and now he's going to hunt.
He's not. He is not gonna appreciate this slander.
I mean, some people pay extra to have.
I
somebody fart in
subscribe to
their
the
mouth.
D&D pantheon that includes Billy Ray Cyrus.
It didn't already?
Hmm.
The god
Every
of
time-
the countryside bards.
The two
Every time Reed worships Kellumbor, that's who it is.
the two dwarves sort of
Yeah,
almost seem to
just
wiggle in
remember,
their
They
pants.
gave me that book, right?
They did.
Okay.
They almost seem excited as the young dwarven woman turns to her brother and says, do you want to tell him? Do you want me to tell him?
Her.
Her, yes.
Tell me what?
She looks around excitedly and she pulls out a small, like, handkerchief and she slowly unwraps it and there's like a brass gear in it. It's clearly weathered. It's got some sort of like dents and dust covering it. But she sort of shows it to you and she sort of excitedly says, so, after you went down into the basement, we went down after you because we thought if there was anything dangerous down there that you probably would have already dealt with it. And took the captain and there was an opening into the Underdark.
No.
And did you venture forth?
Well, of course we ventured forth. That's what adventure is about. We're members of the EGAT Archaeological Society. We don't shy away from that sort of thing.
No, I'm aware of the reputation of your guild.
Well, do you know what this is?
Oh, wait a second. Lou, random wardrobe change. What's up? I swear to God, you were wearing your standardized blue shirt when you came onto this camera.
No, he wasn't.
I've been wearing this the entire time.
I just... I have Lou on the brain.
Although, yes, I will admit...
Yeah, it's gonna be right there.
Connor likes having blue.
Lou owns 2 shirts!
So do I. It's okay.
What? Okay, we've got,
Oh, he's gonna strip for us now. Oh, yeah! Yeah, that one.
We've got, blue with white.
Jesus Christ.
We've got the, blue with more blue.
Guy
We
loves
got the other blue with white.
plaids and flannels.
We got the red, white, and blue.
Dungeons and Dragons, everybody.
And nice black.
All right, Lou, we're gonna need a runway walk off. Let's go.
On the catwalk. All right, but she shows
I
it
need
to you
you
and she
to
says,
reenact the entire Zoolander walk off scene.
"Can't turn left."
Show us blue steel.
Anyways, Connor.
Sorry.
They say, excitedly say, "Do you know what this is? Do you know what this is?"
My forte falls almost exclusively within literature. Unfortunately, I'm not familiar with this object.
Does Eckhart know what it is?
Boy, history.
Just to
Probably
confirm, are
not.
they locked into my my lie, or do I have to keep?
I mean, they
fitting?
believe it, so.
Okay.
I'm gonna nudge Karakla and be like, Karakla.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
You know, he
Well,
doesn't
your
even know.
titties.
He doesn't even know who you are, barely.
Karakla.
There's like a weird orc dude that wears carries around a cooking pot with him everywhere.
Karakla, what's the weird thing the lady's got in her hand? What is it? I thought you were supposed to be like a sage or something.
I'll kind of wave at Karakwa and I'll say, I think he's a fan of yours, or at least this group's. Not me. I'm new here.
He doesn't know you either.
Karakwa, it's a long story. He's a big fan of me and you. I think. I don't so much follow, but
He mentioned 2 others, but I don't know who they are. Obviously, they don't matter, or maybe...
Reed will interject himself at this time. Perhaps some introductions are in order.
Reed can interject between these thighs. Shit.
What?
My goal with this character is to make Lou uncomfortable.
I suppose.
Basically.
I keep forgetting to do my dwarf voice. I suppose that's true. You haven't met much of us except for your lady lass there. I'm afraid we didn't introduce ourselves. My name is Gilliam. This is my good sister Jillian. We're members of the EGOT Archaeological Society.
We are providing governmental or imperial assistance to their dig site.
It's about time, too. After all, we've petitioned the government for probably almost 30 years to send a little aid. Hoped it would be a whole team, not that we're discounting your abilities, miss. But Any help is of use to us.
Well, if you find something that I can bring back to the crown to report, I'm sure more will come.
That's the plan, at least.
That's a start. But what is this trinket you handed me?
Well, I don't know so much if it's something to do with the Scorched Keep, but it was in the Underdark that we found it.
And it's a gear, you said? It's like...
A
know it to
sizable
be a
gear, yes. It's a piece of a Pentadrone. Not just one we found, 3 of the bastards down there.
Go on.
Again, I apologize. My expertise is in books. I'm not familiar with this device.
Pentadromes. Are you familiar with the Modrons?
I've heard of them. Well, okay.
You can roll a history check.
I'm in too deep. I'm lying out of my ass. I've heard of them, yeah.
Oh man, I want to do a history check.
Do you want me to do a history check? Because I'm gonna go ahead and say that Zara has no idea what they are, but she's in too deep.
You can
I interject. What in the hell are those?
I'm gonna grab a coffee.
yes, if you wanted to, but if you wanted to roll a history check, you could. Although it is an obscure little piece of lore that there's not a good chance you would know much of.
No, Alec will absolutely would not.
I just run around the northern coast half naked, so I don't know these things.
An admirable goal.
Well,
Yeah. Shit, it's a floor.
Modrons are constructs. Extraplanar constructs. They don't come from the material plane. I know what you're thinking. Where did they come from? Well, that's what I was thinking. Never see them around here, not unless they're summoned by accident or something along that line. Except there is something that we've heard of in our day. The Great Modron March. Suppose if you haven't heard of Modrons, you wouldn't know the Great Modron March. But every 289 years, the Modrons come filing out of the plane of Mechanus. Why? Couldn't even tell you. They spread across all the planes, almost as if they're searching or learning something. And then they go home. But for some reason, I guess these particular ones, maybe they got lost or trapped. Who knows? But there's 3 of them caught down there. 3 of them. Can you imagine? This is a chance to do real research on an extraplanar construct.
I mean, are the things dead?
Well, that's kind of the problem. Mostly.
Mostly.
Well, they were. We thought perhaps they were maybe dead, or well, I guess they're machines, so perhaps in some sort of stasis. And we got up close and we took this gear out, but as soon as we did, the 3 of them started moving. Not quick, like very slow. Nonetheless, I figured it was a bit better to retreat, close the stairs behind us, and block them off.
So you didn't run into any ghosts, you just ran into mechanical monsters?
Oh no, we only went down to past the first basement. Had a couple of problems with some beetles, but other than that, nothing in the Underdark either.
I'll stare awkwardly at the other new person till she gets back in the game.
I was drinking my coffee. Look at that puppy.
It is a curious thing. If we were looking for something to send, if you were looking for something to send back to Her Majesty, the Holy Emperor, that's something. Those are 3 of a kind.
I mean, smart lady. What do you think we should go help him?
I feel like
I was so excited I couldn't stop. Since you're clearly such a lover of archaeology as much as ourselves, I'm afraid our excitement got the best of us. We thought about maybe going and looking up a thing or two on Pentadromes or Modrons or the realm from which they come.
I will say, the three gears themselves, I'm sure, would be fascinating, and as artifacts go, they'd be very likely to make
No,
it
no,
back to
no,
the
Connor, you misunderstand. 1 gear, 3 Modron. They saw 3 Modron.
live.
Well,
You missed the part.
I was getting coffee. I'm sorry.
they're
Oh.
semi-dormant. They started to move when they get close, but they weren't like super highly aggressive yet.
I feel like the logistics of transporting those things may be difficult.
I think figuring out whether or not we can is a place to start. And we should go investigate anyway.
Well,
I am quite intrigued.
I mean, you guys have a flying boat, for God's sake. That seems pretty good.
Well, we thought about heading to Ulthienthamir. There's all sorts of research and things like that, and there's a couple of our counterparts that are there. It's got a fairly extensive library, or we could maybe perhaps try the old Krutz Castle and look through their library. I mean, I'm not sure off the top of my head when the last Modron March was, but it likely has records from then. Perhaps there's something unusual.
I mean, it's definitely worth a shot. However, as to my purposes here, I'm purely in a position to conduct a cursory report for the Crown to see if further staffing is needed. Obviously, I can take these artifacts back. However, a larger host of a more broad example of what this dig site has to offer would be better received, I think. Unless such Modrons could be transported safely and easily.
That's part of the fun of exploration, finding out. That's certainly what we're gonna do. Right, Jillian? The dwarf nods her head.
I'll go. I'm intrigued by little clockwork creatures. That's quite strange.
If they're extraplanar, who knows how long they'll be around. They might wake up and leave.
Well,
I would argue if the intent of your dig site is the Scorched Keep, would the Underdark fall within the parameters of your initial endeavor?
Well, no, but this is something that's not gonna likely come up again ever in our lifetimes.
Well, certainly, but it's also not going anywhere.
Well, that's the problem. We're not sure if they're not or either. If they're going anywhere or not. Like I said, they started to move whenever we took the gear.
I would like to go. If anyone else would be nice enough to go with me.
I mean, I'll go where Bugman goes. And if we have to...
Once in a lifetime opportunity. Though, at this point, I feel like my life is filled with those. Can't hurt to add another to the collection.
Well, I've never actually seen the Underdark.
Well, it's not too far into it. It's a little bit out the way, but...
Tommy, I need you to kill the V2. It's killing me. It's...
See? I told you! I told you would get to him!
I'm caving. I'm sorry. I tried, but
Good.
every time I glance over, I see
I'm always...
ambiently when it kills me. I can't. I'm sorry.
I never even
No, I
had the
get you.
cameras up, so...
Yeah, I forgot it was on, to be honest with you.
I keep the cameras up.
Alright.
Okay.
It's settled. Perhaps we'll do a little bit of research and then head back down there. Like I said, I've got mercenary captain and his guards overseeing the area, making sure nothing's coming out or anything like that. We did seal off the stairs as best as we could. If they're leaving, they're either going down or going out some way, but they're not coming up.
I guess we,
Sorry, phone call.
I mean, should we wait until morning or go now?
it's the Underdark. The time of the day is irrelevant.
Well, I mean, time of the day for us, considering we just got in the shit.
Um. No, I'm good. I don't know about you guys, but
Well, we should be amply prepared. We should be amply prepared before we decide to go in for sure. It's best not to take it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, and I'll turn from the dwarves and I'll address the party. But were there other things that we wanted to do? You particular, while we were here?
I did want to speak to the Lord.
I wanted to make sure we weren't getting entirely off track. No offense.
That's perfect.
No, not big.
Like I said, we were thinking about perhaps petitioning the Lord to look through his libraries.
Hmm.
I guess we can do
I mean,
that.
if you've got a previous acquaintanceship with him, then it might be
I
even
do.
easier than we thought.
Myself, no.
We,
Not this-
we ourselves have none either. But figured it couldn't hurt to ask. But yeah, could do both at the same time, basically.
Whenever we do plan to actually venture in the Underdark, Colin, I'm going to take that time to use the cookpot to make the temporary hit point treats whenever that time arises. But yeah,
That being
I'll
said-
follow Bugman.
There's other stuff you can do around the town. It's a town. Say you go do something.
Oh shit. Downtime while they're doing that, actually, like when I'm just following Bugman and stuff around, can I try to figure out how to read this cookbook, Colin?
You can start working on it.
Okay. Yep, that's what I'd like to do. Is just free time, I'll cook those treats, and I'll try to read this cookbook best I can.
Alright. So what's the plan? What are people doing?
I'm gonna go with the dwarves to see about procuring some information and inform the Lord of his now I guess late son.
Fair.
His late son.
It's complicated.
Is that it? That's all you're giving her? That's
Yep.
all I get? Alright.
Complicated.
It's complicated.
It is pretty complicated.
I'll lean over to the wizard and I'll say, I think they were lovers.
Alright. What's everyone else doing?
I will go to the Lord, I think. If he has a library, I'd like to look at it.
Okay. Same direction as the dwarfs and Alec Cool and Eckhart. You have, if you want to go do something else, you have a map of Fritz Castle.
I don't think Lou is present and Tommy is muted. Everybody's checked out today.
Where What's Karakwa doing?
I have no clue.
Now let's just stare at him till he finds. I think I see a dog behind you.
It's true. It's Tara. She's a piece of shit. Baby, come here, you piece of shit. Tara, come here.
What would Karakwa want to do with the city?
Eat ass.
Go fast.
Is there a place I could send a letter?
Of course.
Do you need to return some video cassettes?
There is indeed ways to send messages and things like that within the city.
Before we go, I'll inform everyone that I'd meet them there, and I'll go off to try and find such a place.
Okay. Cody, I'll let you just think about what you're doing, since probably not going to Kurt's castle.
Okay.
To speak with the Lord.
Okay.
Alright. Cool, you head up out of the nook and cranny. You can see it's the night is descending at this point. It's getting a bit late. Maybe 6, 7. The last vestiges of the daytime are fleeing rapidly, and the smooth velvety darkness of a black velveteen blanket darted with all sorts of stars begins to spread across the sky, and you pass through the gate into Old Krutz. At this point, they've gotten to recognize you so much so that they don't even ask you anything. Having gained the trust of Barkley has mostly gained you the trust of all of the gate guards, and you're pretty fucking recognizable, so...
It is true.
Despite the
pretty
fact
hard
that Barkley is not there, likely not on shift, or perhaps his duties have taken him elsewhere, they happily open the gate and nod their heads at you. As you make your way into Old Krutz, passing through the older buildings, you can see old farthings in the distance, a place you give a wide berth, a place where you know that the majority of your party is not welcome anymore. As you head through the winding stony streets to the walls outside Krutz Castle proper. The same walls are pretty heavily guarded. It looks like after Klaus's unfortunate failure to scale the walls stealthily, sneak in, they've likely increased security.
Yep.
The portcullis leading into the large courtyard area that has these sort of beautiful trees that are filled with all sorts of golden apples and things like that sits closed. A single guard out front, but several guards you can see watch you from the gatehouses on both sides. He looks at you as you approach. His eyebrows furrow. Can I help you? This is not the same man that you saw that was here the previous day whenever...
Sorry, I believe Barkley told me I was going to be able to get a meeting with the Lord yesterday, but it was interrupted when the walls were trying to be scaled, so I was told to come back today.
As one of the dwarfs pops out around you, we've got exciting news! As Gilliam sort of holds up a gear and sort of swings it wildly, as the man just looks confused at him. Well, I suppose I could speak to the Lord and ask if he allowed an audience. I'm afraid due to recent security breaches.
That's okay. If you come
Yes.
close, I can give you a message to tell him.
Of course, of course. I'm more than happy to pass it along. It is my solemn duty as the guard of the gate.
And I whisper to him, it's about the Redeemer. He should know.
Very well. I will see that he gets it if you would wait here. As he
course.
turns and enters the side door into the gate house and disappears. You wait for a little while with several curious eyes looking down at you and your motley assortment of quite a few unusual races. Don't see a lot of Ganassi. You definitely don't see a lot of bug people. You can even hear a couple people saying, "Where do you think they come from?" That sort of thing. But before too long, maybe 20 minutes or so, the guard appears, and he sort of, with a hand gesture, motions for the portcullis to be raised. It sort of slowly raises up into the air. The Lord has agreed to see you in the main hall.
Thank you.
Although I must tell you, I'm quite displeased. He insists on no security. But we are going to be just outside the door, and I assure you, should any peep of distress come out, don't hesitate to barge in and do what needs to be done.
I trust that that is what you would do.
I trust that you will behave yourselves.
Naturally. I look at the doors like, right?
Of course. You'd have to be crazy to insult a great lord. I mean, can you imagine? Probably all the funding would be pulled from the Archaeological Society, and, well, a snap if you mess with someone as high ranking as Lord Jurgen von Richten, that's for sure.
Exactly. Alright, well, let's go.
And the group falls along as the man leads you to the Great Hall, and you can see there are a couple of guards. It looks like he's stationed out front, but as he opens the door, they all stand their ground and allow you to pass. The Great Hall itself is one you've seen before. It's one you've ate in before. Whenever you attended Jurgen von Richten before. He sits there. Even though it's only been at this point a few months, he looks older and tired, not nearly as well kept as he was before. His clothes are still pristine and well cleaned and latest of fashions, but he's got a sort of grizzled beard on his face. His hair sits slightly askew, slightly sunken in his chair, a tired look. You can see there are all sorts of missives, letters in front of him, scattered across the table. But whenever you enter, he sort of slowly lifts up, and he says, "Please, have a seat.
Thank you.
Can I offer you any refreshments? Perhaps, well, I understand it's getting quite warm outside. We have chilled wines.
Is he drinking anything?
He does have a goblet of something. As one of Julian says, "Do you have any beer?" Of course, we have well-stocked larders, quite suitable for that sort of. Have some sent up.
Just, I don't know. Whatever you're having is fine. So. I wasn't really planning on these two being here, but I assume it doesn't quite matter. But I regret to inform you, as you know, our paths crossed when our paths crossed with your son some months back now. He let his goals be known, and regret to inform you that he has met his end, and he is now deceased.
Lord von Richten sort of sits quietly for a few minutes. Made his choices, I'm afraid.
He did.
Does he seem sincere in that?
You can roll an insight check.
$23.
He is clearly a well-seasoned and sort of experienced speaker. He's sincere, but you get a lot more grief behind his reverent voice than he's trying to show. As he sort of takes his drink and downs it. His failings are mine. Probably more than anyone else's. Probably even more than his own.
I don't quite know that that's the case, but his failings, regardless, were not just a danger to himself, but to you and everyone in this kingdom, and even people further out than that. I won't lie, at least several of my compatriots tried to give him the chance to stop, but don't believe that was in the cards for him. So,
Out of character. It's a damn shame no one's fucking here.
Well,
Christ.
yeah,
Except for me, the guy who wasn't involved.
yeah.
I don't know. I've never been much for the gods or the afterlife. I hope wherever he is, he found some peace.
I imagine he's found some.
I suppose.
I don't think his.
What's up?
I don't think he was quite all right. I think something had a hold of his mind, which, I mean, is not your fault, and I'm not entirely convinced it was his. So.
I suppose I can't say after what happened last time we met. I'm shocked. I don't even have time to mourn, really, as he sort of motions at the sort of letters on the desks or on the table in front of him. All the seals broken and sort of arrayed as he says,
Without even looking and even letting him finish, I assume it's about the incursion from the north. Yes.
You assume correctly. Something tells me you might know more on the matter than I do.
Yeah. They were there when your son died. Almost as he died, they were approaching.
It's
So
not.
he was not wrong about it happening, but I believe he was still wrong about how to deal with it.
Well, I wish I knew the right way to deal with it. From what I can tell, we've got evacuations from every small village town. Every small fishing village, every town, every outpost, they're all heading to the south, and the
To
next
give you
big
context,
city to the south is Krutz. In fact, we're the
You
only
might-
really large city outside of
might-
Herzig.
want to consider doing something in the same vein.
What? Evacuate the city?
I don't know how long Ertzig is going to be able to last. I don't believe that they're even there right now at this point.
And
The men and women that stayed are probably dead now, or have tricked them into just leaving.
It's true that we haven't had an update for them for a long time, but I imagine the good captain will be riding down here with her troops if she can. Point.
That being said, the one of the leaders of the people from the north seem to pretty handily deal with our silver dragon friend, and almost completely wipe him out. So I honestly do not know what this town can do that Ertzig couldn't do itself. So I don't know that it's going to be imminent. I don't know anything else besides that it's incredibly dangerous.
I wish you had good news.
Uh,
I don't suppose you've ever brought good news in your life, have you?
I've not been so fortunate to find any good news. The good news is my good news is I'm here. I guess I haven't died. I haven't died yet. Not that the world hasn't tried to kill me.
Yeah. Thank you.
Of course.
Glad at least know now instead of wondering.
Yeah, and at the very least, it's one less problem to deal with on the table. I don't know exactly what we can do to help. While we're still here, I'd be willing to help. If you do want good news, though, I believe these two dwarf siblings have found something underneath
There's a
the scorched.
faint look on the dwarven brother Gilliam and Jillian's face, something akin to a deer caught in the headlights, and perhaps they're listening in on a conversation they should not be listening to. As you can see, both have their faces sort of turned down to their mugs of beer, a little bit abashed at having been taken part in this conversation. This very personal conversation.
Yep.
That Gilliam sort of pipes up. That's right, my lord. I am so saddened that you had to receive such terrible news, but it's very interesting what we found just underneath the city. Happened to come across, my sister and I happened to come across what appeared to be a couple of Pentadromes. I understand that someone as busy as yourself may not know too much about Modrons, them being such a trivial matter on the material plane, but I assure you they're quite interesting, and it's probably been, they're certainly not natives of this plane. Natives to the plane of Prima. You don't care about that. The point is, we would ask if you would be so kind as to allow us access to your library. We might like to look through and maybe see if we can find something interesting within your records about... Well, there's an event called the Great Modron March that happens every 289 years, and we thought maybe we could look through your records, books, and things like that held within your library to he's sort of still a little bit in shock about the conversation that just took place. Just asking if we can look at your records.
I too have an interest in your library, Lord, and I also wanted to make use of your Imperial Courier.
The Lord, still a bit despondent from the news, son's demise, nods his head. Of course. They have access to anything you need. You of course have the Lord's hospitality. No. Alec Cool, I believe, was you. Seen the library before. Of your have. You wish you can take whatever time you need there. Have to excuse me if I don't call on you. I'm not feeling up to a dinner tonight.
I don't blame you, Lord. Do keep in mind that, again, if you can think of anything you need from us before we leave, or something for us to do as we leave, just please let us know.
I see what kind of you mentioned some paperwork, some letters and stuff on his desk, or are we in his chambers?
You're in a hall, in a large hall, what appears to be likely a dining hall or a meeting hall of some sort.
But you did say there was some documents.
Yes, it looks like he does have various letters and things spread out on the table in front of him.
Does anything stand out? I can make an investigation check of these.
Sure.
$16.
You don't really get a great glance. You don't get like to be like right on top of him. But it looks like the letters are pretty short. Not written in a very organized hand, as if they were quickly scrawled. But that's pretty much all you can tell just from a quick glance at them. Likely short and written in a hurry. The Lord sort of dismisses you. He says, if I can think of anything, I will. Perhaps for traveling, I may have delivery to be sent with something that's might require more than just your average guard.
Nope. We'll be around for a little while.
Have at it. As he sort of motions for you to leave, he says, tell the guards they, can wait outside for now.
Right, I do that. I did go to the gate guard. I tell him the Lord would like to for you to still wait outside. I believe he needs more than a moment to himself.
He says, what is he gonna do? Jack off?
I don't think that's what he says.
If that is what he says, I absolutely do not answer him.
No, he sort of nods his head and says, I suppose. Well, how can I help you?
Does the guard ask?
Yes.
He's allowed us entrance to the library. If you, I vaguely know the way. If you'd be so kind as to point us in the right direction, or if you'd like to come with,
if you would follow me. As
Thank
he
you.
turns and begins walking through the hallways, you can see, every now and then you hear Gilliam and Jillian sort of whispering to themselves, excitedly saying, "How old do you think that face is?" as they pass by various faces. Artifacts of the von Richten family that are held on display as he leads you past several halls to the library itself. It's not a big library, it's a lot of the personal records, family lineages of the von Richten family, and things like that, the various histories of the region, a lot of reports on taxation, that kind of thing. But he says, the guards would be just outside should you help, but the library is yours. So,
thank you.
and as he turns and walks away, you can see Gilliam and Jillian almost immediately split up and begin running to the bookcases and pulling down books.
I go to each of them and look, I didn't exactly want you two to be around for that conversation I had to have with the Lord.
That was really awkward. This is really awkward.
But to save time, and you both seem like a trustworthy sort, just keep that to yourselves.
Oh, you don't have to worry about that, lad. Secret safe with us. Isn't that right, Jillian? She sort of nods her head.
I appreciate that. I imagine you doing so will keep you in good graces with the Lord for a while, which would be beneficial with your work anyway.
At the end of the day, we got what we want. As they sort of are continuing to sort of rush around the library, pulling down all sorts of books. It looks like they're pulling down histories from 100 to 150 years ago. Starting to go through them.
Well, I was gonna leave Connor to it. Connor fucking left again.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, can I use this empty time while we're waiting for Connor to ask you a question, Colin?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go walk Siggy really fast. I might
Okay.
just pee really.
So since I left my group, what's my group's plan with the invasion from the north and after all that shit went down with the Redeemer? Are they just sticking north, or are they migrating beyond normally where they would?
Your group, the Rage Mages of the North, are not actually heading south. They're actually heading kind of east, away from the coast that way. They are well suited to survive the wilds, so it's not too much of a problem for them, honestly.
Okay. And then the other just not knowing stuff, since I'm a new character, would I have just learned everything from Bjorg pretty much?
Just the general stuff.
The gist. Okay. So I'd know about the Silver Dragon and the actual fight with the Redeemer and stuff.
You might have heard stuff about it, yeah.
Okay. Just to make sure. Yeah. I guess if I can find any books that can help me, learn to read this old common, that would be pretty cool. So I'll hang around the library if that's where Alacool's hanging out. Or if there's cooking shit, I'll take cooking shit too.
I'm actually. The dwarfs are still with us.
Yes.
Can I ask them what they know about the dragon lineages of Beaz Kumahar? If they know anything, they might not.
Well,
It's a pet project of mine, a research topic I've been trying to delve into, but truth be told, I don't know where to begin.
interesting, thing. We're afraid that, draconic lineages is not something that we're too, caught up on. Do you have any more specific questions than that? Are you just asking if we've heard of any dragons in Beaz Kumahar?
I've been curious about a particular family line. Sorry, improvising. They had activities, possibly here in Stolreich, and then vanished to Beaz Kulahar. So there may be some crossover between one of the lineages here.
It's very possible.
It would be Desert's blue, right? I think it's blue dragon.
Well, we could search out a book for you while we're looking. Ever heard of the Encyclopedia Draconica?
I probably haven't. Let me see. No.
Well, we can have a look around. It's got some of the more prominent dragons, and you could peruse that. Alright, blue dragons, usually for the deserts. But I'm afraid the actual lineages themselves, that's not an expertise we follow in on.
Certainly. Have you ever met one?
A dragon? Oh no. No, I'm afraid not. Of course I would love to, but
You wouldn't.
one time we almost went and we thought about going to see Bismarck, but then we realized we don't really have anything that interesting to trade, and we were kind of worried that if we wasted time, he'd burn us to a sizzle or something.
At least he is kind enough to trade rather than take.
Suppose, but at the end of the day, yeah, we figured it would be better not to waste his time. And they are going to continue going about their search, pulling off various different
If I could, I would steal away and attempt to write a letter.
All right.
I will type it.
Okay. You are searching variously around the library, and you have gained some insight of things that you could be looking for. Specifically, you know that the Modrons themselves are extraplanar. They do not come from the material plane. Another plane. You've heard mention of the plane of Primus, or not the plane of Primus, but the a Modron named Primus. You can see that learned that the Great Modron March happens every 289 years. Got at least a range to go in. Is there anything anybody would like to look for that might have regards to do with any of that.
You guys seemed much more interested in the Modrons than I was.
I
I would
want to
assist the dwarves if they were asking for my assistance.
I want to know how to kill them, Colin.
Yeah, get to the point. How do I kill it?
Yep. If Bugman and Party are in danger, I'd like to know how to beat them.
They are machines, so
Mm-hmm.
you can see they're pulling down all sorts of various books from about 100 to 150 years ago. But if you ask them, they say, "Ew." They actually sort of remind you about the book, the introduction of the book on the subjects of planes. As they say, if you could have a peruse of the books, maybe we can find more pieces of it. Like I said, it's an old copy, but one that's been copied before. Perhaps he's got pieces of it in his library."
Fair enough.
Go ahead and roll a perception check, or I guess an investigation check.
Oh, it's not very good. Since I took this to use it, I'm gonna use enhance ability so I can have advantage. That's pretty good with advantage. 16.
All right. You kind of look around, searching through the books on stuff about the outer planes. And you do find that there are some things. You do find what appears to be a portion of the book, the same book, on the subject of the planes, Volume 2. And you sort of flip through it and manage to find a section on the plane of Metris. As I will go ahead.
Cool. Can I? Yeah, I want to talk. So I want to share that with Alakul since he's the one that was interested in it too. I looked for a book on. I'm mainly concerned how to kill the construct things in case shit goes bad.
Meanwhile, what? Yeah.
Was there a particular section of the 3 that you saw that you thought would be useful, Tommy, or did you just get this?
I just got Volume 2, Chapter 3, which is the continuation of the part that we got.
Okay.
Before the intro part, so I'm looking in that.
All right. It, in and of itself, does show what appears to be a bit on the plane called, or a plane, an extraplanar area, an outer plane called Metris, home to 2 gods, including Primus, god of the Modrons. And it does go into a bit about not just the fact that it does seem that Modrons, in any way, shape, or form, are probably not like celestials. And Primus is not like other gods. He's not some all-powerful, immortal being, ever ageless. Primus is a god that is very killable, and not only that, a god that can become technologically obsolete. And upon doing so, it is retired, and the next highest ranked Modron in line will ascend to that position, and essentially it inherits the knowledge, so it's continually evolving and growing and learning.
That's cool.
And it lives essentially in a basically the equivalent of the Underdark of Metris, except it's a massive cavern that's filled with gears, some of which could be the size of countries, that all sort of slowly whir in place. And so, you do know, at the very least, they can be killed. In fact, it's very possible that killing them is... Killing an individual Modron is not that necessarily that hard. But that doesn't necessarily end the threat, because they're constantly inheriting old knowledge, constantly learning from it, essentially.
Okay. I'd wager, since it doesn't actually say in the book part, there's nothing about like how they're powered or anything, right?
No.
As to get metagamey. Okay.
No, yeah. That's beyond the way that, just like the realm of, well, the realm that they're in is called Mechanus, is the underworld. That is so unknown because it is home to only Modrons. It's not a place that any sort of mortal has really ever stepped foot in. It's just stuff they've heard of, and something since they keep experience every 289 years. There's the Great Modron March across the plains. They'll sort of learn a little bit from that, but it is not a place that mortal men tread or could even visit.
Is the Modron March hostile, or is it more just a learning venture? I guess is what I'm trying to figure out.
Typically not hostile.
Okay.
They just spread out, and you're able to well, since that's what Gilliam and Jillian are working on, they do come across an incident from their investigation checks 123 years ago, in which a strange mechanical man was seen walking through the streets, sort of moving from rooftop to rooftop. The guards did attempt to apprehend it, and only then, upon the attempt at stopping it from its movements, when apprehending it, did it become hostile. However, they were able to put it down.
Ooh.
Is there any record of them being capable of like regular, like common speech or any speech at all?
There is not.
All right, me and Bugman will go 2v3 the robots.
I don't want to kill them.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, just in case. I also don't necessarily want to kill him.
I would like to be their friend.
I'll be honest, I kind of haven't been following along because I had to go help Robbie with his homework.
We learn robot stuff. Alicool want befriend with robot.
Basically.
I think Modrons are neat.
There you go.
Looks like the last Modron March happened about 120 years ago. You learned that from the fact that here's that some they did run across an incident of guards having run into a strange mechanical man. They were able to kill it, but it wasn't hostile until they actually tried to apprehend it. Learned more about realm of Mechanus and god of the Modrons, Primus, who's less a physical entity and more almost like a mental entity. One who it's more like a technological consciousness that transfers from Primus to Primus. They become less and less, or they either are killed or they become obsolete.
All right.
So you know there's 3 of those that were trapped underneath, down below in the Underdark.
All right. Suppose this represents a quandary. Because Reed would not know if these things, do these things even have a soul? Would they go to the land of the dead?
Ziggy peed on my bed, apparently, while she was asleep, so I'm gonna fucking go clean that real quick.
My dog loves to pee.
She really does. It's been a long time, and then she's done it like 3 times this week, and it's making me
Remember
mad.
how proud of her you were? Like, look, it went to the bathroom as soon as I brought her outside, and now she's.
Oh,
pissing on your
she
bed.
pooped. She pooped because pooping takes like an hour, which is impressive. Because if I ever need to poop, I need to go. There's no waiting. So I'll be back in a minute.
It's a strange conundrum. Do they have souls? No.
Are they sentient? Are they beings of the mortal plane?
They're definitely not of the material plane. Like I said, you do now have a new chapter in the book on the subjects of planes, although unfortunately the one about Primus is not very long because his plane is not one that mortals go to. It's strictly the land of Modrons. Even so, it's hard to say. But that is something that Reed can learn.
His curiosity would probably get the better of him. So Reed says that, I am interested in meeting these mechanical marvels.
Never realized, like, Connor, out of character, never realized Modrons were that big.
Oh yeah, they're big guys.
Yes, I, Bugman, will go see the Modrons, Reed. Since he is not here.
Damn drones. Alright. You have it does take a probably a couple of hours to work through it. Maybe a few hours, 4 or 5. Work through the books to glean what information you can. Like I said, the majority of the Lord's books are on very boring and mundane things, like I said, lineages and tax records, crop yields over years, lumber shipments from the Greenwood. So it's a relatively small amount of information, but still some that are useful. That is useful about the nature of Modrons and the sort of, realistically, kind of the religion of Modrons, and about their Modron March that happens every 289 years. Likely these Modrons in particular have been stuck underground for more than 120 years, and something happened within them that made them malfunction somehow to get them stuck. You're not sure what.
Does it go out of its way to not explain that, or?
I mean, there's no way for them to know. You just know that they got stuck down there for some reason. There's no record of these three in particular. There's only a record of guards ran into one and were able to kill it.
Got it.
That's all you really find at Krut's Castle, however.
Where-
You can proceed down and try to learn something about them. Go at Scorch Keep and sort of confront them, or you can try to learn more information. Said there's Ultianthamir is basically a small college. That kind of thing. It's up to you how you want to proceed, though.
Probably have to wait for Smart Bugman and Ganassi to come back.
Alright, I'll be right back then. I'm gonna go pee and grab another beer. See this baby, I guess.
Alright.
If we still have time to kill.
Well, in the library of the von Richten family, not really.
Okay.
That's not the type of thing they kept there, just within the library. It's a lot of records and maybe some old histories and stuff like that, but no spell books or anything like that. It's just not the type of thing that they keep there. As far as you can tell, there's not necessarily been that many prominent spellcasters from this particular side of the family outside of the
Well,
He hella dead and also didn't learn anything here as far as we know.
Yeah.
Yes, it does seem like most of his tutelage was done in the city of Prost.
let's go hug some robots.
Hell yeah.
Are we taking the dwarves with us?
I mean, they
Damn
want to
right
go.
you're taking us with us. What do you mean are you taking us? You must be insane if you think you're going to leave us behind and you're going to go examine these Modrons.
I would never leave you behind.
There were ghosts in the basement, and the Underdark's a
Sorry,
scary place. So it might not even be the robot guys that are trouble. So just watch yourselves.
I'll fight my way through ghosts just to get an opportunity to examine these robots again. Especially now that we've got some backup. I mean, we've got one of the leading archaeologists in the capital with us. As they look at Zara.
Right. That's me.
Well,
I am, however, more of a scholar than a warrior.
Well, that's perfectly
Probably
suited to
Reed goes, well, that's what you have us here for, isn't it?
You did
A wink.
You did say they were there to guard you, right? They said you were a guard, so if you go down there, they're meant to guard you, yeah?
In a manner of speaking.
That's what they're hired for.
I'll expect payment at the end of this. As our usual arrangement.
Well, I think me and Jillian are satisfied enough to go down there and tinker with them a bit, unless you've got more learning you want to do.
I'm ready when you are.
Good. As they both sort of quickly get up in unison and sort of speed walk out the door excitedly. Their pith helmets bobbing along as they go. By the way, Cody, these dwarves wear pith helmets, and they have glasses that have all sorts of like little lenses that go over them. They wear khaki shorts. They exactly. You just need a pith helmet. They rush to the Scorched Keep excitedly, passing through the streets, almost barreling down a poor homeless person as they go, only briefly apologizing as they move to the Scorched Keep, where they see their guards still remain. Looks like they've largely been concentrated at the front. It seems like a watch has been set up as the captain of the mercenaries turns and starts to talk to him. As he says nothing of interest, but they pretty quickly like wave him to the side as they rush past him, saying, "We're going down there to have a good look at the Modrons. Just keep an eye out. Make sure nothing. Why don't you take a couple of guards down and wait on the lower level with us in case there's any sort of beasties or ghosts that bother us while we're in the Underdark. Not very far. It's just in a nearby chamber." As the captain sort of shrugs and says, "That's what you're paying us for." As you rush, they pretty quickly rush down past into essentially the prison level. You know that has an entrance to the Underdark. You can still every now and then hear the faint scrape of the Manabane scarabs that crawl across, but certainly not enough to comprise a swarm.
Nope. Don't like that.
You've mostly dealt with them. Certainly, and in your concentrated numbers, with the light of torches driving them away, you're left unperturbed as you head down towards the area that is essentially like a it's like a guard barracks essentially, and sort of in that portion, about near a table that has an old, like broken and tattered map and some dried up parchment, there's the collapsed wall that leads into the Underdark. As you stand there, sort of looking into the abyss, you can feel it staring back at you. It says, "The Aristocrats." Alright, that's where we're ending it tonight.
Jesus Christ.
It's the longest aristocrat setup in the world. It's been what, a year and a half setting it up?
I was expecting the B movie.
I'm upset.
You weren't even here to be upset, Connor.
I had the volume cranked. I was listening the whole time. I was just helping move boxes.
Boxes.
Box.
Yeah, sorry, I just wasn't very active in this week.
Today, everybody is
Well-
DC.
But no, I'm just joking. You continue onwards down into the Underdark. The darkness sort of enveloping you, pushing at the edges of the lamp of the torchlight. You know, you emerge into a pretty familiar cavern. It's one you pass through whenever you initially went through this section. There was like, you passed through a couple of caverns, but you did come across a section that led to the deeper part of the Underdark that you decided against going to, probably wisely. And you can see almost immediately Gilliam and Jillian head for that. You can clearly see there is it's pretty steep descent, but it's not a sheer descent. It's a steep slope that leads downwards. It looks like a portion of a cavern that collapsed, or at least the ceiling collapsed and it caved in. It left like a slope down into it. Probably hundreds of years ago. There are already a pair of ropes that have been staked off by Gilliam and Jilliam where they previously went down, and one of them hands you the torch and said, "Hold on to this for a second, lad." And he, with Gilliam with no fear, no sort of trepidation or anxiety at all, sort of grabs the rope, heaves one leg over the edge, and jumps down. You can hear his feet sort of sliding and scattering along as he slides down. You're not sure how far it is. It's gotta be more than 120 feet. It's well outside even your dark vision. But eventually you do hear it stop as he calls up, "I'm down!"
Alright, I head down with the torch for him. I like one hand slide down the thing with my one big arm, like one small arm, and then have one on my other big arm with the weapon, and then another small arm holding the torch.
We didn't long rest, did we?
I mean, most of us didn't need to.
The going down is not too hard. The ground is a little bit loose and your feet slip a little bit, but with the aid of the rope, it's pretty straightforward. Eventually, you arrive at the bottom where you can see Gilliam sort of covered in dust. You pretty quickly realize why he was likely covered in basically covered in dust. As you sort of can't help but cough a little bit as there's dust filling the air. With the light held up, with the torch held up, everybody can see the distance down. And even from above, you can see the faint glitter of what appears to be 3 forms. They have essentially like they're maybe 10 to 12 feet tall. Surprisingly,
Jesus, they're that big?
they're
I thought they
very
were
large.
fucking tiny.
No, not to these ones.
Wait,
Okay.
did you see like the cog they had was like pretty fucking big, right?
No, I know. I just like
No,
for some reason I always thought Modrons were tiny.
depends on the Modron.
So
These are Pentadromes. They are not simple monodrones. They are extremely massive, sort of weird-looking clockwork entities that are technically large constructs. In fact, there you go.
Ah, okay.
Jeez.
They're the big one.
I wouldn't have guessed, penta meaning 5.
I know, right?
I won't lie,
they have
that is
these,
1,000 times creepier than I thought.
despite the fact that their legs are somewhat spindly, their arms are thick and each one has what appears to be a face on the inside, and a small sort of gas nozzle that sticks out the top from between the arms. Currently, the eyes stand closed. You can see Gilliam sort of goes up to it and looks at it and says, he like pokes it a little bit and then sort of takes a leap back. They were moving before. What? Everybody else is up. I assume he heads down as well.
Yes. Well, Reed will go, perhaps a bit of manners are required, and Reed will step up to one of them and start off with a bow. Nothing?
Nothing.
Just to confirm, I know you said that they're singular mind, but are they capable of intelligence?
You probably would.
Or are they... Okay, I wasn't sure if that was...
You probably would have no clue.
Okay. Sorry, Luke.
It's alright.
But they don't react to you at all. As he says, William says, they were definitely moving. They did move. As he like takes out the gear and looks at it.
Okay.
I inspect them. Does it look like there's a gear missing on any of them?
It does look like, it's pretty apparent the gear that he took out of one of them. There's a large piece of the clockwork innards that is missing. However, that gear the gear is present in the other two. And of course, he's able to point out that he pulled it out. As you think we should take
You
the other
should
ones
definitely-
out? They weren't. It seemed to move whenever I pulled it out.
I think we should put it back, actually.
I'll go put it back. In case it wakes up and it's not very happy that it's gone in the first place.
Reed, in the meantime, will continue to try to introduce himself to the one that is in front of him.
Cool. If they'll let me have the cog, I will try to go put it back there.
Do you have any kind of tinker's tool?
I do not possess such ability.
Go ahead and give me a base dexterity. Or intelligence. I guess it'd be
I will guidance him.
Man, it should have been great if it was dexterity. I'll tell you what. Thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, it's pretty good for me. Oh, that's real good. 21.
Alright. It's pretty straightforward to slide it in. You do have to like spin it around a couple times, but eventually it slides into place and you just look at it for a second. And it ticks forward one tick, and you can see as soon as it ticks forward, it looks like the Modrons, all three, kind of their eyes open, and they take one sort of, their arms lift up slowly, and they seem to take one lurching step, but then you can see they falter, as if they are unable to. You can see they like it's one very sort of quick initial step, and their arms slowly raise, but then they sort of falter, and slowly their arms fall down and the eyes close.
Oh, you figured it out?
One of them, Gilliam and Jill, sort of go up and poke it. Maybe they're not getting enough power.
Well,
You think there's a way to wind them up like a clock?
maybe. I look around them, make like, I guess I, would it be perception or investigation or either, or?
Yes, make an investigation.
16.
Rough to, it's a strange thing that you're looking at. And at the same time, however, it's a machine. Machines, you wouldn't say they all work the same, but there's certain similarities between them, with various revolving gears and things. It does appear that they are likely clockwork in some way. You do find what appears to be a small area where they can seem to be wound up. However, it looks more like a hole that has what appears to be a jagged line on it. And there is also what appears to be quite a bit of sand and grit and dust in the gear that is likely interfering with their movement.
Is there any I hate this term, but signs of a struggle on the ground around them? Scars in the earthworks or anything like that?
No.
No.
I'm not even gonna make you roll like an investigation check. It's not there.
So
Cool.
I use mold earth to get rid of the dirt and sand in their gears.
All right. The gears are mostly pristine after you. It looks like once they start running, it should not be interfering with them in any shape or form.
Okay. From like reading the books and stuff, does Eckhart have the brain power to realize these things are like magic, or like mechanical or electric or something like
You
that?
can roll a Arcana check.
Okay, because I want to do something, but I feel like I'm actually like bad enough stat wise that I might not know how to do it. Alright, it's pretty good. 17.
The slashing line symbol it's kind of what catches your eye. It is actually the sort of hand gesture that is used in various sort of lightning spells, knocking grasp and lightning bolt.
Yeah, that's the idea I had. I don't know if I need to cast lightning lure, because that's the only lightning spell I have into it, or if I just need to like touch it and start casting the spell and it would absorb it or something like that. I don't know if that'd work.
And it would do.
Ah, shit. I'll just like lightning lure like it's a cable hooking up or something into the thing and see if it works.
You're
That's actually pretty cool.
as you sort of look at it, recognizing, I mean, like I said, it is the component. Fucking go. When you recognize that it was a jagged hand motion that's used in various lightning spells, you take a lash of lightning energy and sort of whip it in the air, and you aim it just so it falls within the hole, and there's a sudden burst of electrical energy, and all of a sudden the Modron immediately just begins walking forward, completely oblivious to you. You can hear that it makes all sorts of strange clicking noises and whistling sounds as it turns, and it goes to the other two and just sort of stands there. And you can see it crackles with electrical energy, and all of a sudden this Modron sends out a jolt of electricity into the other Modron that sort of slowly rises up and turns, and it does the same to the third, as all three basically become powered off the energy granted from the lightning lure. There's a moment where the three of them sit almost in a triangle, their arms sort of gently moving up and down, their eyes locked on each other, but at the same time completely oblivious to you, as they are very clearly communicating to each other in a series of clicks and beeps. Very rapid. If you want to, you'll have, but it's not a language you recognize immediately.
Unfortunately, I do not have tongues prepared.
Well, Reed will say, well done, Eckhart, and then, once again, he shall attempt to introduce himself to the mechanic.
Zara
With a deep
cringes
bow.
as if Reed is about to get killed.
It's alright, I speak
Nothing of
Goblin.
value is lost.
Darn it, I only know common and orc.
Greetings,
Prep revivify.
our clockwork compatriots. And Reed starts off with a
My
bow.
clockwork compatriots. Right now, loser racist.
You can see one of the five eyes on each of them does train towards you, but they don't move or even break up their speech. As far as you know, they've only acknowledged the fact that you are there, but they have not acknowledged your presence at all. You can see their arms are sort of flailing about pretty enthusiastically, as they actually sort of move towards the sort of the collapsed slope, and they start trying to walk up it, and their feet slip. They sort of slip back down, but they continue over and over to try to climb up it, find themselves just slipping down.
They appear to be trying to get to somewhere.
Out. Clearly.
Would you be able to mold the earth? Give them steps?
Can I?
You think we could tie ropes around them, maybe pull them up? I wonder if they'd mind it.
I have a feeling they might not.
I'll try and.
Certainly
Well-
wouldn't want to do something they consider hosile.
It is quite loose gravel if
So,
we could harden
would
it
it-
up somehow.
Would it? So, is the slope considered difficult terrain?
Technically, yes.
It's
it's
use
not.
mold earth to make it not difficult terrain.
That's fair. Like I said, it's not sheer. it's steep and loose, and that's sort of why you needed the rope to sort of get down it. But it does only count as difficult terrain. It's not unpassable.
Yeah. So I make it. I use mold earth to make some chunks of it. What you call it? Not difficult terrain, just normal terrain.
That's fine. That's perfectly. You kind of have to like walk along with them, because like I said, it's probably about 200 feet worth of it. But as you walk along with them, sort of using mold earth over and over again to sort of tamp down the loose earth and sort of make it sturdy enough that they're able to walk on it. You can see they slowly climb their way up the slope back into the cavern. And almost immediately, as soon as they're back in the Underdark Cavern, they continue on their way, just walking almost like a military march, completely oblivious to you, your entire party. You did learn, one of the things you learn is that Modron, when they're given a task, they're like a machine. They go and they do that task in a straight line.
Nice. I mean, I guess I just follow along and see what the fuck they're trying to do.
How long does it take me to prepare a spell?
Long rest?
Yeah, it's short, depending on what it is, but at least an hour.
I would like to begin preparing tongues, but I'm going to look up the actual rule on how long that is. Clerics are weird.
Continue to follow them as they steadfastly make their way from the Underdark, and every now and then you can see one of them will pause and they'll sort of scramble over to the wall and they scrape their hand across it, pulling off dirt and sediment. They seem to deposit on it. You can see there's a small hatch that opens up that they deposit the dirt into. Then they go on their way. It seems like they are indeed taking samples of some kind. Likely reconnaissance somehow. You can see every now and then they'll stop just in the dead center of the cavern and open up their what appears to be like the gas nozzles that you saw on the top. You'll all of a sudden hear a sucking sound. And after that they'll continue on their way. They pause maybe every 20 feet or so to take some sort of observation, until eventually they come to the edge of the cavern where it's broken into the Scorched Keep. They slowly sort of stop, gather around, and what appears to be it looks like it doesn't look exactly like a perfect triangle. The three of them sort of gather together, and you can see they start to glow faintly. And then the glow almost like stutters and fails. And then they try it again, fails.
Do I recognize magic, Colin?
You can roll an Arcana check.
Oh yeah. That's a natural 20, aka a -1, so 19.
Of course, recognize that as magic. Looks like they are trying to shift planes. Unfortunately, they are failing.
Any chance we can tell where they're trying to go?
Well, I mean, you were there when we read the book. They're probably just trying to go back to their plane.
Is it Primus? Primus is the god, right?
Primus is the god, Mechanus is the plane.
Okay.
Yeah.
If that's where they're going, there's no way for you to know. They do every now and then speak in this sort of clicking and beeping language as they continue trying to shift. However, you can tell with that good of an Arcana check, there is clearly a missing component. What appears just from their array, it looks like they're casting some sort of ritual plane shift, or some sort of ritual that'll push them to the planes. However, it looks like it was probably made for 4 Modrons. Of course, you read that one was killed 20-some years ago. So the 3 of them are just standing there trying to plane shift.
Is Mechanus? Did we learn from our reading that Mechanus is where they originate from?
That is where they originate from, but they also make an entire tour across all the planes. So they could be going somewhere else.
I mean,
No, I don't exactly have the forte to help them plane shift.
Well,
Neither do I.
on the bright side, I said with your really good Arcana check, it doesn't look like you need to be able to cast the plane shift spell yourself.
okay.
You just more need to be able to help them finish their ritual.
Oh, we can definitely do that. Yeah.
And
So-
it's likely to open up a portal. That is going to be, well, it's going to be a sort of ritual Arcana check. This one is not based off your Arcana, it's based off your spell casting modifier. Might be your Arcana, depending on what sort of weapons you've got and things, bonuses like that. But you can help each other, so
my spell modifier, spell, like the spell attack, or just
yeah, it'd basically be your spell attack modifier.
+6 for
plus
Yeah.
8.
Mine's I'd say mine's +8 also. We can hold hands, Alakul, and help them.
Good. I'm assuming it might take more than one of us anyway, since the Modrons are quite a lot larger than we are.
They're quite
I
large.
I'll put Alakul on my shoulders and we'll form a giant man. Giant man.
Good.
Right. You go ahead and give me basically roll with your spell modifier added. I guess one of you has advantage.
Oof.
You know, that's still pretty good.
I also I guess I guidance myself too.
That's still pretty high.
Oh, plus 8, so that's
Yeah,
a
plus
22
8,
actually.
yeah.
I forgot I was adding the plus 8 to it as well.
Sort of watching them undertake this ritual over and over again, you are able to kind of get the idea of what's going on. As you can see, as you watch them, like, glow and then fail and then glow and fail, and watch how they move, you very quickly recognize the effects of the conjuration magic. While you feel like you probably could not cast this yourself, with the help of the 3 Modrons working, or the Pentadromes essentially working with you, as you sort of take a step forward and mimic their motions, pour your magic into it. Well, one, you expand. You expand your highest level spell slot, one of your highest level spell slots.
Okay.
And it sort of causes a tear in the air that sort of glows faintly. Initially, it's little more than a pinhole of whitish light that fills the cavern, shimmering with sort of opalescence everywhere, but it slowly grows until it almost looks like you're looking at through a doorway. Slowly, the Modrons stride forward, passing through it, as they step onto the other side. As you see, they're looking not into some sort of mechanical realm. It almost looks like a massive city, the largest city you've ever seen, with strange sort of non-Euclidean architecture that rises up to various degrees. You can see there are signs that glow, and all sorts of strange races, some familiar, some completely unfamiliar, walk the streets. You can see there is a woman that the people shy away from. She wears a dark sort of gray veil over her form and has a flowing gray robe around her. Her hands are gaunt and skeletal, mottled sort of darkish black. As you, on all sides of her, she's flanked by men that are wearing a symbol. They all wear a uniform, this sort of dull gray halberd that has this veil upon it. Each of them with pot helms, and they are armed with what appears to be like billy clubs and short swords. The Pentadromes themselves seem to pay this woman no mind as they happily walk past her, despite the fact that the other races avoid her.
I don't like that.
You can see just from that doorway, rises up. The city seems to be a torus, circular, and you can see there is a faint, glowing, blinking sign off in the distance. Just before the gate sort of closes, leaving you separated from the Modrons. It says Heathcliffs.
Word.
And then it disappears. As you are left standing in the darkness of the Underdark.
Well, that was something.
Are the dwarves like having a mental breakdown, Colin?
The dwarves kind of
I'm having a mental break.
have stood there dumbfounded. What the hell was that? Where'd they go?
I believe.
They're like, and you can see Jillian is like furiously writing notes as fast as possible.
I believe from your notes that that was Sigil, or not from your notes, from that book. That may be the city described.
I've heard of it, but I certainly never thought I'd see it in my life unless I just got lucky.
I feel like you just did.
One of them like Gilliam goes up and he like jumps to where the portal was, and he like jumps through the air, and then he jumps back. Damn! I guess we missed our opportunity. We should have jumped through it, Jillian. You can see she almost immediately kind of shakes her head.
I feel like it would have probably not been a good idea for us to go through.
I have no desire to go to that city.
How could you have no desire to go to the city? From what I've ever heard, Sigil is a crossroads of all the planes. Everything you could ever want. Everything you could ever hope for.
I have work here, and can only imagine it not being quite as easy to get back.
I guess it depends on the day. I imagine getting out of Sigil's just as easy as going into it.
Perhaps.
Reed is just going to take a quiet mental note to look up this Sigil place later on.
Oh.
Actually, he's just going to ask him. So it's a crossroads for all the planes?
Oh, aye. At least that's what I've read about. It's a crossroads for all the planes. Not just all
And
the
that would include the
planes.
plane of water?
Oh, yes. Not just all the planes, but I hear all the planes at all times. I hear tale of... Well, there is a story that I heard. Supposedly a powerful wizard that actually managed to run into his older self there. Like I said, all planes at all times.
Hmm. That sounds particularly dangerous.
Sometimes danger's what makes it interesting. I mean, if it weren't for a couple of scary ghosties, there wouldn't have been nearly as much interesting stuff down here.
That's a valid point.
Even so. We've got a lot of notes to work on. Gilliam and Jillian sort of turn their head up, whispering to each other excitedly. I know, I saw it too! As both of them are now furiously trying to write down notes as fast as possible, trying to write everything down that they saw while the memory was still fresh. Go ahead and roll a perception check.
I'm checked out, apparently. Oh dear.
Still got the highest one, and I rolled a 1.
Oh, are we all rolling?
Yes, everyone can roll.
Did it.
If it would let me pull up my thing, damn. Perception. That's 20.
Right. Sort of as you... I see you. As you turn to move away, you sort of pause for a second. See that near where the Modrons were standing, sort of beneath the rock, the faint glimmer of that baby is playing in the bathtub.
Hell yeah, baby. You do you.
A faint glimmer, something beneath the rocks. You sort of bend down and see what appears to be likely a... It looks like it might have been part of where the, like I said, you saw that the ground had collapsed in the area, like there had been some sort of collapse in here. There is a smashed rock that does have what appears to be a bit of, it looks like gears from a Modron beneath. Not a whole one, likely an arm, but you're able to recover several of these sort of interesting brass gears. You can roll an investigation check on it, probably.
Just any of us?
Once it's pointed out, yeah.
Well, indeed, I mean, Reed would go and pick it up again.
Jesus Christ.
I think, honestly, I've had more natural ones on Eckhart in the short time I've played him than Aruna
Nope,
ever has.
That's the one.
Holy shit.
No, you're not 100% sure why exactly.
No one is.
This is here. It looks like something got crushed here, but it doesn't look like it. You don't see enough here to be a full Modron. At least not one of the ones that you saw previously. Maybe a little more than an arm. But there are still these interesting cogs and gears here and various tubes you're able to gather together. Theoretically, they could be worth a fair amount of... They could be worth a fair amount of money, or with the proper tinkerer, it could become some sort of strange clockwork thing. Depends on what you want to do with it. But that's where we will end it tonight. The sort of random one-off game, since a bunch of people didn't want to show up. Next week we'll actually move on.
It was